We're back. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Tailgate Talks for Season 2.
The dose. And this week, we're going to be visiting with you guys a little bit about current environment, shortages, and some of the price increases we've seen on fertilizer and chemical.
Yeah, when we talk about some chemical shortages, there's been some things Mother Nature has done. Other than that, some supply chain issues and transportation. But as we look at some chemical things, you think about the hurricane that was down south in Louisiana, knocked out a couple plants and took a while to come back. We also ended last year on the lowest ending supply we've ever had. So trying to ramp up and get back to where we need to be, it just isn't going to happen.
Well, and prior to that, too, we had seen a factory in Indonesia blow up that produced a certain chemical, and just seems like we've never caught back up, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and with the changes in traits and technologies of our soybeans, they all have a Liberty trait in there now. That's one thing we're seeing really short of, and we're probably going to continue to see being short of.
Yes, and believe it or not, the Olympics had an impact on chemical shortages. China produces a lot of the raw ingredients used for a majority of the chemicals we use. Mm-hmm. And in an attempt to clean up the air for the cameras during the Olympics, they shut down a lot of those manufacturing sites and started a shortage. And I believe going forward, China's kind of taken a position to try to be a little more green. So that could be an issue that's going to continue.
And every time they have the Olympics, they do this. They produce a lot of ammonia used for urea, UAN. And when they had the Olympics, they shut down those plants as well. They don't export a lot, but they need to use a lot. They got a big country and a lot of agriculture there. So they need to find that urea somewhere else then. Taking it from other world markets creates a ripple effect all the way down the chain. And with that being said, if they're not making any, they're taking from other countries. Supply down, demand same. We're going to see shortages and price increases.
We're kind of fortunate enough that a majority of our nitrogen is manufactured locally in the United States. Just look at down in Port O'Neill, we have a source down there that gives us a lot of our nitrogen. But when the world market is short and our local plants can get a higher dollar by shipping it to, say, China or Brazil, someone else, they're going to take that dollar. Yeah. I guess it'd be the bad thing of having a world market, but it is nice when we see a price rise on our grain, though.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's going on, especially with what's going on in Ukraine and Russia right now. The wheat market's exploded, so that's, I wouldn't say it's a good thing, obviously, but we're seeing an increase on the price of corn and wheat, and that's one way we can combat these higher prices, especially when we're talking fertilizer.
I think, if you can look at locking some crop in for 2022 at some of these higher prices and kind of hedge your high fertilizer a little bit that way, and it's something to look at, like coming into this fall. If you buy your fertilizer in the fall, maybe start looking at new crop of 2023 and try to lock in a little grain to protect your investment.
Yeah, and the best way is to have a plan. So plan A, plan B on chemical and fertilizer. And one way you can do that is if you talk to your local FCS Agronomist, they'll help you out with anything you need with that.
Yes, I feel like different chemical plans, that's where we kind of show our worth by knowing different chemistries that we can use on your operations. And fertilizer, it's a little different. You could try to use different sources, but it's a little tougher to do fertilizer. Yeah. So if you have any questions, just reach out to your local FCS Agronomist. Thank you for joining us today. Hi, welcome to
Tailgate Talks.
Fail is produced here at home. But so with all these,
shut that thing off.
I'll shut that off. Gives me a little time to think of my closing.
Two very boring minutes later.
Man, that's the longest shutdown sequence ever.
I know, usually it shuts down quick.
We're back.